You are now listening to 5 Minutes with KCM, the segment that takes an inside look into the operations of Konkola Copper Mines, KCM, Zambia's largest integrated copper producer. KCM is a subsidiary of Vedanta Resources PLC.
Good morning, listeners, and welcome to 5 Minutes with KCM, sponsored by Konkola Copper Mines. Now, on the program this morning, we are looking at technology within KCM. Now, KCM's shareholders have invested heavily into the business, having spent about $3 billion, which has gone towards mine development, expansions, and upgrades for projects. Now, to help us discuss these details is Mr. David Paterson, who is Vice President, Local Economic Development. So good morning, Mr. Paterson, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Hope, and good morning to the listeners.
All right, we're so happy to have you on the show today. All right, now this week we want to appreciate technology within your organization. So let's start by you sharing with us why technology is very, very important for KCM's business.
Yes, well, I think technology is certainly something that we're passionate about in our business. I mean, it's important in our business because it's important for the success of our business today because the technology is something that really helps us to operate our business more effectively and to make sure that we are internationally competitive. And one of the things about mining is that the ore bodies do get deeper as time goes on, and we've got to find that makes them more expensive to mine. So we've got to find ways that we can operate more cost effectively.
All right.
And I'm sure you realise that companies around the world, the best companies around the world, rely heavily upon technology.
Well, that's very true. And I also want to agree with you that innovation and technology do rank high in so many companies around the world. Now, are there any practical examples, having said that, within KCM?
Yes, well, certainly there are. I mean, you referred earlier on to us having spent $3 billion in the business over the last 10 years, and one of the largest investments that we made in that was building a new smelter at Nchanga, where we spent about $500 million. Now, that smelter is one of the cleanest in the world. It's perhaps the second cleanest in terms of capturing sulphur, and that not only protects the environment, but it helps us to produce copper more cheaply. So it's good for the business and it's good for the environment.
All right. Now, what difference has this development or innovation made for KCM's operations and maybe the community at large?
Well, it affects every part of our business. It's not just in operations. It also affects our financial, commercial, even our communities teams use technology. But we see it even in as I say, in the communities. We're using technology in the hospitals and the schools that we operate. So it affects not just the copper production, but all of those things that sit around our business.
All right. Now, how would you say technology has impacted the performance of your staff? How have they responded to it?
Well, I think people. One thing it impacts on is the training that's needed for people. So we need people that are trained in the use of technology, and that makes work more interesting, more challenging, more up to date. So it improves performance and it also improves satisfaction in the job as well.
All right. Now, let's just go a bit further in terms of understanding what these technologies are doing to enhance business operations. And maybe you can tell us about the tailings leaching plant. What is it and just how important is it to KCM's business?
Yes. Well, the tailings leach plant was commissioned in 1971, and it includes an acid leach project circuit. It produces grade A copper, so the high purity copper that's sold on international markets. But the interesting thing about that is that it's extracting copper from material that was in the past regarded as waste. So we are able to produce copper from material that in the past was too expensive to process, and that means that we produce and export more copper.
Oh, great. All right. Now, let's talk about the refinery at Nkana. This is in Kitwe. What can you share about the technology being applied there? I mean, that's very big and very busy. So, I mean...
Yes, that's right. And it's a business that relies heavily upon the use of electricity, which I guess is topical at the moment. But technology enables us to make sure that the efficiency of that electricity use is maximised. I think also we've been able to implement technology there which has reduced our water usage, again, reduces the cost and protects the surrounding environment.
All right. Now, Mr. Paterson, it's 5 minutes with KCM. So in wrapping up, let's close with the Konkola as well as Nchanga underground mines. What kind of technology is being applied there?
Yes, well, we have mechanisation of all sorts in those operations, which again helps us to operate more effectively. It's also something that helps us to reduce environmental impact and make sure that we're operating well into the future.
All right, lovely. All right, Mr. Paterson, thank you so much for joining us today on the show. That's great information. There's a lot to learn from you as KCM.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
All right, have a beautiful weekend. All right, listeners, this has been 5 minutes with KCM, and this morning we were talking to Mr. David Paterson, Vice President, Legal Economic Development, and he was just helping us discuss, we were actually looking at... Konkola Copper Mines has actually spent about $3 billion, which has gone towards mine development, expansion, and upgrades for projects. Now, this morning we were looking at technology within KCM. All right, you can catch the show next week at the same time. This has been 5 minutes with KCM.
Was 5 minutes with KCM. That was 5 minutes with KCM. Join us again next week at the same time for a chance to know more about Konkola Copper Mines, Zambia's largest integrated copper producer. KCM is a subsidiary of Vedanta Resources PLC.